Hi friends, I'm Melissa Mortensen from polkadotchair.com and welcome to my sewing room. A couple times a month I like to share with you some of the projects that I'm working on, give you guys an update of new things that I have in the shop along with some other things that might be coming soon, maybe a few sneak peeks, and then also share just a little bit about what I'm sewing personally, the kind of things that I'm working on just for fun for me in my sewing room. This week we've had a little bit of a busy week because our July project drops landed, I guess you say landed if it's a drop, in the shop last Monday. Every month we do a special edition quilted project drop, and they're just small batch curated kits designed by myself, and my daughter helps with it also as well. We kind of go through the archives on the blog and fabric I've designed and fabric that's coming out and try and dream up projects that we think you guys would enjoy sewing. I'm really grateful to have my daughter's help on this because she is in her 20s, and so I love to get a fresh perspective on some projects that will appeal to all age groups. And she has been a big help in designing some of the projects this year and had a big input on the one for this month. And I love how it turned out. It's a really simple quilt, but it kind of just reminded me that sometimes you don't have to have a really complicated project for you to be happy with it and be something that you love and cherish and are really proud of. I have a few things to talk about this week. So we're going to talk about the July project kits. We're going to chat a little bit about the block that just dropped in our Patreon group. I have a sneak peek of a new fabric collection coming out in February that's actually an add-on to an existing collection. I have the finished summer block party quilt to share with you. You can see it kind of sitting on my chair. We have a new quilt along, and then there is a pattern special in the shop that I wanted to remind you about. A lot to cover. I'm excited to be here with you guys. Kingsley is here as well. He's back there taking a nap. We like to joke that he has learned how to use pillows. So now in the house, not only has he taken over our furniture, he has found a way to lay his head on most of the pillows on the sofas in our house. So let's start off by chatting about some of the stuff in the shop. Let's do the shop stuff first. So the first thing is we have a pattern on special this month. So every month we have a pattern we mark 30% off. And they're usually older patterns just to kind of not compete too much with what you're finding in your local quilt shop. But we mark a pattern off 30% once a month. And the pattern this month is called the Summer Sugar pattern, which again, as always, I'll drop a photo in just to kind of show you that. Maybe get a little bit of a close-up on some of the blocks. So this pattern is a pattern that I wrote a couple years ago for the Summer Picnic collection, which actually we're going to talk a little bit about today too. It features a variety of summery blocks. So there's cherries and apples and pineapples and bees and stars and flowers. This quilt was actually a quilt along hosted here on YouTube a couple years ago. So if you buy the pattern, you can also find videos walking you through the steps to make most of the blocks in the quilt. So if you are new and feel like you need a little bit more help or just enjoy getting tips and tricks from other quilters, definitely check out those videos here on YouTube. If you just go to playlists, I think I have them all saved in a playlist called Summer Sugar Quilt. But anyway, if you are interested, you can grab that pattern for 30% off for this month. As always with everything, I'll link all the products in the description of the video. And then this quilt here, this is just here because I have a partition to cover my very messy desk because there's a lot of things I'm working on right now, and it just got really messy. So, but this quilt is called Tailored Tulips. You can find it in the shop. You can make it in a baby or a lap size, but this quilt, the size of it was just right to kind of cover the partition, and I thought it looked nice. So that's why that quilt is there today. And maybe I'll kind of like swap around the quilts that I put up there. We'll see. I might actually just need to find like a better partition for there. This is kind of all an impromptu, figure it out as I go along kind of a thing, as with most things in my business, an impromptu, figure it out as you go. So let's talk about the kits in the shop. There are 3 different colorways of the kits. One of them is sold out. Like I said, the quilt kit dropped over a week ago. If you are interested in our quilt kits, make sure you sign up for the newsletter on the shop. It's shop.polkadotchair.com, and there's like a picture at the top and it says email me when drops are live. And if you sign up there, we'll send you an email as soon as they go up on the website. So you don't have to worry about if something that you're interested in, we send those emails out as soon as the drops go up. And this kit is sold out, but it didn't sell out right away. It sold out, it took like a few days for it to sell out. But I have 3 different colorways. I made the sample this time. There's an aqua, a blue, and a pink. And I made the sample this time with the dark blue fabrics because last month we did sailboat kits, which are, I don't know if you can see, I think, where is the sailboat? I don't know if you can see it over there. I'm not sure what's like showing in the camera. So last month I did the sailboat kit, and you guys liked the light blue so much better than the dark blue. So I thought, you know what, this time when I make the sample, I'll just make it from the darker fabric so you guys could visualize it better, thinking that you wouldn't like the darker blue as much. But you guys liked the darker blue better this month. So always a guessing game with everything, but I'll show you this quilt. This quilt pattern is, there's a couple ways to get it, and I'll share details with you. But this quilt pattern is a free tutorial on my site, which the free tutorial is still there. I haven't taken it off the site, and I don't plan to take it off the site unless I have a reason I need to. This quilt is cool because it is made from fat quarters. And the thing that you do is you need 12 light and 12 dark fat quarters, and you pair them up and you piece them with a quick piece method. They're just 9 patch blocks. And when you sew them together, you sew one with dark fabric in the corners next to one with light fabric in the corners, and it gives you this really cool grid effect. It's a 9-piece block, very traditional block, been around for a very long time. And the quilt, you can make it in 5 different sizes. So the quilt that's in the kit comes with a printed pattern. So the original pattern on our site, the free tutorial, is for this size, which I consider a long lap size quilt. I can't remember the exact size. I think it's like 56 by 81, but like don't quote me on that. It is on the site. But a lot of you guys are like, hey, I would love to make this in a baby quilt, or I want to make this in a queen size quilt. I get a lot of people that have requests for bigger quilts. So what I did is I took the original tutorial, I simplified the instructions a little bit. The cutting directions are slightly different on the printed pattern and the one in the shop versus the one on the website, but just a slight difference just to give you a little more wiggle room with your fabric. But the one in the shop includes directions for 5 different sizes of quilts. It tells you how many fat quarters you need, how many blocks you need, and gives you kind of a layout to kind of see to make it. But if you want to make the one in the kit makes the long, I think I called it, like I said, long lap size quilt. But by all means, you can make a smaller quilt if you prefer and save the fabrics for some other projects, or we do have a couple of add-on bundles. If you wanted to make a bigger quilt, you could use that with some of the lighter fabrics from your stash and mix it in to make a really big quilt. I want to show you the fabrics in the kit, but also we have, that we added this month, these fun little quilter zip bags we had printed with this little Goose Tracks block, and the fabrics on the block are some of the ones from the summer picnic collection. So this month we're kind of just embracing that picnic theme. It's July, it's summer, it's lazy days, we're eating lots of strawberries and watermelon around our house. I bet you guys are too. So just kind of going with that vibe for the summer with the theme for the kits for this month. So let me show you what's in the pink, and then I'll show you what's in the aqua. I'm going to do this, I'll show you, I never know how on YouTube how fast I need to be, because I know I need to keep things like moving, but at the same time I know you guys really actually want to see what is in here. So I'll show you really quickly the pinks, and then I'll show you the aquas, and then the blue, like I said, is sold out. So here are some of the pinks. It's a half yard of each of the fabrics, and then to make the pattern, what you'll do is you will cut the fabric in half along the fold so that you have 2 fat quarters, because a half yard of fabric is 2 fat quarters. So these are the pinks, those are the darks, and then onto the lights. Some of these fabrics are ones from my personal stash. Some of them are current ones by other Riley Blake designers. So you've got 6 light and 6 dark for the pink. And if you need to at any time, just a reminder on YouTube, you can pause the video if you needed to get a close-up of that. And then there's the binding. And then we've got the printed pattern. I've got full color layouts for you of the 3 colorways. And then the directions are in black and white. And as I mentioned before, we've got illustrations and guides and grids to make the quilt in 5 different sizes, starting at a baby quilt. So the one in the kit, if you wanted to use the best use of your fabric in the kit, is long lap, and it is 54 by 81. And then also included in the kit that we include every month is a little sticker. So this month we've got a fun little quilter sticker. So that is the pink kit. The blue kit, or the aqua kit, it's kind of aquas and greens. So this is my next personal sewing project, because I was sharing with my daughter who lives in Utah, who just graduated from college. You know, we're just chatting on the phone over the weekend about, you know, what's going on. And I was like, oh, you know, we just launched the kits in the shop. And so she was looking at them, because I always like to see, like I said, I always like to see what the 20-year-olds think of what I'm making, just kind of keep it fresh. And she saw the aqua kit and she was like, oh Mom, I love that. I don't know if you have time, but could you make me that aqua quilt? And it's been a while since I've made a quilt for her. So I am going to pull one of the kits out of the, I'll pull one of the kits out and turn it into an aqua quilt. Bake the aqua quilt for her. As always, I always get a little tongue-tied when I'm doing these YouTube videos. All right, so here's the binding. So we're doing aquas and greens for this one, and then these are the lights. And hopefully the camera is focusing for you guys enough that you can see what is going on. Got a fun kind of awkward leopard in that one, and then we've got the apples, lemons, some bees, and then bottle caps, strawberries, floral, gingham, kind of a vintage tablecloth print, and cherries. So these kits, when they're sold out, they'll be sold out because this is a fabric collection that I did a few years ago. I bought a bunch of it for myself when it came out, and it's just been sitting on a shelf in my sewing room, and I thought, you know what? People email me all the time. They see projects on the blog and they wonder where to get the fabric, and most of the time it's out of print and I can't help them. But I thought, you know what? It's better to share this fabric with you guys and let someone make something with it than just have it sit on my shelf. So the pattern is very versatile. If you have a collection of fat quarters that you've been wondering what to do with, the pattern is a really fun one for that. My niece is making a quilt. She's doing a Halloween quilt and was texting me over the weekend about some of the fabrics that she's going to pick, and she's going to do this pattern for her Halloween quilt. So second thing, I can't remember what order we were going to talk about things in, but second thing we're going to talk about, if you are in the Patreon group, I have a Patreon group where we're making a Christmas or winter quilt this year. There's a video and a block every month. You're still welcome to join if you need more information about catch up and stuff like that. Just drop me an email or send me a message here. But here is the block for July for our Patreon group. So if you are in the Patreon group, make sure you log in over there and download your block so that you've got it ready. And then we will have on the 15th, I think today's the 14th, on the 15th we'll have a video with the sewing instructions live up for you as well to help walk you through the process of this block. I have a line of fabrics with Riley Blake called Sparkler. It's a basics line, and the difference between basics lines and lines like the summer picnic one I was showing is that they keep the basics lines in stock all the time until they're retired. So Sparkler's been out for, I don't even know, 3 or 4 years now. and we've added a couple of colors to it, and we're adding more colors to it. We're also adding some variations for a little bit of seasonal stuff. I'm just going to show like a quick sneak peek just because I think you guys will think it's interesting how some things work. This fabric will be out in February, and if you have a shop, you can pre-order it now, but I'll talk more about it in depth when it gets closer. When you design fabric, you design an illustrator file, and then you send it to the fabric company, and they print up the boards with it to take to shops to sell them the fabric, and then they send those files off to be printed. And you may think blue is blue, red is red, but it is not that simple when it comes to fabric design. Each of the inks that are in the dyes, I'm not sure if it's ink or a dye, on these fabrics are hand colored by the people that work in that factory. So somebody will take a look at the illustrator file and the sheet that is sent, and then go and mix the colors together to create the fabric, which is just amazing to me that there's someone that is that skilled that they can create this fabric. So what they do then is they print off small swatches of fabric, and they send them to the fabric company, to Riley Blake in this case. This is how, I don't know how other fabric companies work, but this is my experience with Riley Blake. And then Riley Blake sends me these fabrics and says, hey, what do you think? Is this the right red? Is this the right green? Is this too dark? Is it too light? Is part of the print missing? Sometimes you get them and right away they're like, oh, this is beautiful. And sometimes there's just miscommunication that happens just because that's just natural in business. So I got my first batch of new sparkler colors, and like these aren't secret, it's all on the Riley Blake website. So we've got some more blues and greens and periwinkle and kind of like a less saturated navy, a couple more pinks. Now these are not perfect. I'll have to send them off to Riley Blake and give them some feedback about some of the colors. Some of them are closer than others to what was in my head. And so these fabrics, let me find the yellow. I think you can see it well on the yellow. So you can see there's a little plus on there for the sparkler. One of the things we're doing next year is we're replacing that plus with some different iconography to represent some of the seasons. So here you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but there is a little star. The red on this is off a little bit, so we'll work on that bit. There you can see a star, which would be fun for 4th of July. And then we've got stars with red and blue, so that red, white, and blue, also fun for kind of patriotic projects. And then also the stars with a cream and some purples and oranges for Halloween, and with the darker colors, Halloween. Then here we've replaced it with a heart. These will be fun for either Christmas or Valentine's Day, I think, or just very sweet for a baby too with the heart. And then the third one, which we've got a green, but I don't think you can see it. And the color, like I said, the colors are off on this one a little bit, but there's a snowflake. So we've got wintry projects or Christmas theme things. So I'm very excited about that. So one of my projects for today, after I finish this video and get it uploaded, is to go through these each one by one and note, hey, this is too dark. They pulled the wrong color here. Like this one it has like a green and a blue, but the blues kind of they almost look like the same color. So I'll have them just suggestions to kind of tweak it so that it looks a little more as I intended it to look. Or sometimes you design things on paper and then they don't work in real life, so we'll make adjustments there too. So lots of steps and lots of work goes into a fabric collection before it gets into your hands. Most of the time it starts about 2 years before you guys even see the fabric, sometimes 3 years. I have a Christmas collection coming out next year that they're just announced, and that one I think I started working on in 2023. So it will be 3 years on that one before it comes out. Let's see. We'll talk about the quilt along, and then we'll do the summer block party last. My current fabric collection with Riley Blake is called Bluegrass Charm, inspired by the Bluegrass region of Kentucky. And one of the quilts for the line I have been talking about a lot because you guys saw as I was trying to get the pattern written, you guys really helped me with some good advice for instructions on some of these blocks. We are ready now that the fabric's in the stores and the fabric is printed and the patterns are printed, we're ready to do a quilt along for the project. So here's the quilt. Once again, I'll drop a photo in because, as I always say, YouTube runs this way and quilts are always this way, so there's not really a good way to fit a whole quilt image in on YouTube. This is the Bluegrass sampler quilt, and the quilt pattern features, there's Dresden blocks that are pieced and appliqued on, there's raw edge applique on it, there's a little bit of foundation paper piecing in the roofs of some of these homes and barn blocks on here. There's a lot of different varieties of quilting techniques in this, which I kind of love because for me, when I quilt, I can get bored easily. So this project features a lot of different kinds of blocks. There is a quilt-along running for this quilt. It will start in August. The exact dates are on my site. I have on my site also, and I should have grabbed it, if you go to the Bluegrass Sampler Quilt Along post on the site, there's a little sign up box. You don't have to sign up, but if you want to sign up and be notified via email when the videos come up on YouTube, I'm happy to do that. And then also on that sign up, we will send you a PDF that's a planner. And in the planner, I've got a shopping list for you, and I've got a schedule with all the dates and when they'll be up on YouTube. I don't have the dates memorized, so I don't want to share them here and be incorrect, but the project kicks off the last Friday in July, and then the block tutorials are posted on Wednesdays in August. And it will give you most of the tips that you need for making the blocks. I might not share the entire block on the video, but I'll definitely go through the parts of the block that I think might be trickier or things that you might need a little bit more help with. I mentioned a couple weeks ago we do have some kits for this quilt pattern. They are what I call BYOB quilt kits, which is bring your own background fabric. There's 2.5 yards of background fabric required for this quilt, and it is a warm white fabric. And some of the feedback that I've heard from you guys is that you have your specific color of white that you always like to sew with, and so you don't get it mixed up. I shared a little while ago that I messed up and mixed up some whites on one of my quilts. It's Riley Blake Cloud. You will need 2.5 yards of that you can get from Etsy or Fat Quarter Shop or probably even your local quilt shop. And then in the kit we've got the binding fabric. We've got 3/4 yard extra of this blue floral fabric because there's not quite enough in the Fat Quarter pack, and then the rest of the fabric comes from a Fat Quarter pack, a prepackaged Fat Quarter pack of Bluegrass Charm fabric. And I think we use almost all of the prints in the fabric, and it prints in the Fat Quarter pack. If we don't, I definitely have projects coming in September to kind of give you guys ideas of what to do with some of the leftover fat quarters or larger pieces of fabric after you're done sewing this quilt, so that hopefully that there won't be any wasted pieces. That starts in August. Again, just follow the link in the description to sign up, or keep an eye here. If you're subscribed to YouTube, then the videos will show up on YouTube as we're going with the quilt along. Let's talk about the summer block party. So I shared about the summer block party last time. I mentioned that I'm the one that is putting the quilt together. So I actually have the finished quilt here with me today to share with you. And I get to talk about my block because my block came out last Wednesday. So first, before I share the whole quilt, I'll share my block. So this was my block from the quilt along, and it is a beach hat quilt block. It is an 18-inch by 18-inch finished block, and I designed it because I love being outside. I love the sun. Obviously, I'm kind of fair-skinned, so I burn really easy, so I always have a big floppy beach hat with me when I'm by the pool or at the beach, so I was inspired by that. All of the blocks in the quilt kind of have a beachy theme this year. And for those of you that have said, hey, I'd love a quilt pattern just with this, I am working on it. So I am definitely have ideas of more things to do with this fun beach hat, because it also reminds me, aside from a beach hat, it reminds me a little bit of like a Kentucky Derby hat or if you sew it in yellow, it looks a little bit like a Madeline hat. So there's, I think, a lot of possibilities to kind of explore with that block that I am excited to start kind of playing around with that. So the sunshine blocks, or the sunglasses blocks that we shared last time, and then the beach. And then the last block was this fun pineapple and flowers block. Had a flamingo block. And then I think I shared, I don't remember if I shared the turtle. No, we shared the cute bikini block, and then this fun beach finds block with all the seashells. So the quilt comes together as so. It is a big one. I think it's 70 by 70. The sashing blocks are put together with this fun striped sashing that Andy Knowlton designed with these pieced cornerstone blocks. And the finishing instructions for this quilt just went out to the email subscribers this morning. If you still want to sign up, you can. You have until August 15th to sign up and get the blocks. In the email I send you when you sign up, if you haven't signed up yet, it says very important, please read, and it tells you how to find the blocks that you missed since the quilt-a-thon is technically over. But we wanted to leave it open for a little bit in case you guys saw a friend on social media share it or heard about it late. We wanted to make sure everybody had the opportunity to participate in the quilt-a-thon. So you have till August 15th to sign up and get your blocks, and then after that, the blocks and the finishing instructions will go to the individual designer's website, so they won't be free anymore. But if you're looking for a fun, free summer quilt pattern, this one, you guys, jump on this. This is such a fun quilt, and these blocks are, every single one of them, I'm like, dang, why didn't I think of that? They're just, everyone is so clever that went into making this quilt, and I just love how it turned out. One of my projects for this next week is to get this on my long arm machine, get it quilted, and share a photo of the finished quilt with you guys all before August 15th. Busy week this week. Some of you may have wondered, did Melissa finish her 4th of July quilt? What do we think? Do we think Melissa finished it? No, Melissa did not finish it. Melissa is still determined to finish it this summer though. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get that done on time. And well, there's not really an on time since I'm doing it for myself, but I just don't want it to end up in that bin in my room of unfinished projects, the seasonal ones. So I'm hoping to get it finished. I mean, let's hope maybe by Labor Day, and I can share it here with you guys. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, if you go back a couple of videos here on YouTube, I've shared a photo of the blocks. It's a free tutorial on my site. They're really big flag blocks. I think since it's not going to take me that long to finish it, I just haven't sat down and made the time to finish it. So personally, the things on my cutting table right now are finishing up that flag quilt and then starting the aqua version of the 9-patch quilt for my daughter. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe, leave comments. I'm happy to answer any questions you have, and we will see you again next Monday.